A very good evening. How are you, my people? It is the month of May. It is a new month. Today is the 4th, the 4th of May, and we want to welcome you to our learning tutorials. Around this time, we always ask our people. Of course, we come with new things or things that are happening, probably giving a positive or negative impact to our business, the tourism industry that we are all in. Of course, we'll come to you with a few things that we've seen that are happening. But being a new month, we also come with the big question: what are you doing? Because always people will complain there's no business, and we've always said that you need to check yourself. Are you doing something? I want to appreciate some people that are trying to change their activity um, schedule. People are getting active now. I see people are marketing. People are doing some campaigns here and there online. People are diving into something. And trust me, if you do something, you have to get something. You see? The main thing here is to be able to consistently carry it on and also monitor the results. This is very important. Be able to monitor the results. Positive as they come out, continue with the strategy that you're probably using. Negative, review the strategy, and probably you can get positive results. So that's something that you must answer every beginning of the month. What am I doing this month? That's very key, right? And probably see how you can. But of course, Apple has been filled with, especially here in Uganda, we've had the sovereignty bill. I don't want to dive into that. I'm not a politician, but I have seen associations like the Uganda Tour Association of Uganda Tour Operators. They have been to Parliament on the same. I've seen so many tourism personalities saying something about how the bill can impact negatively on tour operations. But I think adding a voice um, as a citizen is also very, it's my right. I want to talk about just a clause that I've had that tour operators must, not only tour operators, but whoever, money coming from out to any person should not be able to receive more than 400 million Uganda shillings in a given year. And I asked myself, look, back then when I was still in employment, about 2019, when I was working in Kigali, Rwanda, we used to have a very big, and I know here even there are big agents that are sending more than 250,000 US dollars money for permits. We used to have series, group series coming in a particular year, but about 170 people, but splitted into months. We had January departure, we had February, June, July, all the way the peak season. These were Americans. It was quite frequent, and and the agent could send 250,000 US dollars money for permits only, and we could buy them up front. And I was asking myself, now, and that is all forex. coming into the country, of which the country as we are, we need a lot of forex. Tourism is one of the biggest foreign exchange earner in the country today. Now, I imagine 250,000. That's more than 400 million. And it's coming from one agent. So if this bill strikes to that, I see two operators and other industry players may not, because I'm sure even there are lodges that working directly with agents and they send them like more than 150,000 for their groups arriving and staying. You see, they invoice, and now I imagine the whole, because 400 million is about 100 and close to 120,000 US dollars. And remember, business is coming from one agent. You see, so to me, I feel the space of operation for the tourism players, private sector in tourism, I think there will be a huge suffocation ahead. But I heard the bill is up for review and further discussions. I hope things can change, and there's a lot that is desired to engage different stakeholders. But that only line, it was in my interest, and I was like, oh, that means, because we have companies that are making up to 10 million US dollars a year, even more than that. So if you're only restricted to 120,000, I don't know whether I got the good interpretation of what that is. But when someone says not more than 400 million, of course you have to go to the minister, approval here and there, things like last minute arrangement, someone sending you money more than, not more than, but any money, 20, 50,000, and business is starting tomorrow, and then you have to go for approval, A, B, C steps. But anyway, fingers crossed. I think government will listen to different stakeholders, and amendments can come in as nice as they can, right? Otherwise, operations can be halted and the suffering can begin from there. But guess what? That is one thing that we wanted to, to bring to you, our followers. But hopefully things will go on well. But today, our learning curve is probably to look at how to find your first customer, especially in tour operation. We've had a number of series of videos talking about finding markets, new markets, expanding your market, working with agents, etc. But I feel for the startup, people are always asked, and people are curious to know, how do I get my first customer or customers? I imagine, and we've always preached. Now we're gonna talk to someone who is organized, because remember, this business, we said you need to be super organized. You have your product knowledge 100%, not 100% per se, but probably 80, 70%. That's a good one. You have working computer, you have your internet, you're organized, so preparations, as we've already said, this is very key. But today we want to talk to that person that is 100% ready, and we want to give you answers. Perfect. How to get your first customers. And the fact you're ready, one key takeaway is you grow or you amplify your social media activities. We've always said that social media at this time is very significant, especially in the tour and travel industry. Very significant, right? So it is time, first of all, find accounts where travelers will get access to information. Facebook, yes. Twitter, yes. LinkedIn, yes. Instagram, yes. There are so many, but we've always asked that find those that you can manage and run effectively, where you can post 3 times a day if you can. You see? So with good content, triggering content, you see? So here we've talked about grow online, but we want to be very specific. We want to find our first customers, right? And here we're saying amplify your social media activities. Use Facebook responsibly. Use your Twitter handle. Use your Instagram. Use your LinkedIn, among others. It's very key. So when you amplify, I mean you can make regular posts daily, quality images, share them, quality videos of 10, 15, seconds, that's very key, you see, and that is going to help you get your first customers very easily. Now we're looking at faster ways and easy ways. Remember, behind you, you're ready and you prepared so well. That's very important. We also want to give you our second key takeaway. Partner with people that already have guests. Now, someone will ask me, if you're in tour operation, hotels have guests, lodges have got guests, airport drivers, they have guests. So it is all about you approach these hotels when clients are there. And yours, usually their staff move every weekend. They are going to different parks, whatever country you're in. Go and approach, sit down with them, give them a small presentation, give them your marketing, brochure or anything like that. Let them call you when they have guests that plan to travel for a weekend visit to any park, then be able to handle. Already these clients, I know of guest houses that are working hand in hand with airport drivers. Guests arrive and literally they need to find a place between 50, 60, 70, $80 and allow commission. When these guys bring you business, give them business. So even someone can be seated with a driver from the airport to the next hotel, and the client will ask, any reliable tour operator that you think we can use for a weekend to Marchision Falls, to whatever, put a park of your country. And of course, this guy has a business card. You approached and professionally you introduced and you promised them some small commission if they probably hand you a customer, right? So it is very important that working with or partnering with people that already have guests will help you be able to get your first customers. Because I have seen so many startups, struggling to, and it's so easy. You shouldn't suffocate, because whenever you suffocate and you have no business, 1 year down the road, 2nd year down the road, you're going to get frustrated. And any person who is frustrated will probably dump everything and choose to leave tourism as a business. But we want to give you, key steps on how you can get your first customer. And making your first customer bring you more 5 customers. It's very important. We'll look at that as we try to wind this session. Then our last or third point here is you can launch a Google ad campaign. We've always said that if your online visibility, remember you're new, your online visibility, your website probably is not well ranked in Google. And remember, 90% of travelers are on internet. They are searching. They want to travel. And 90% bookings originate online. There are so many travelers looking for travel programs, you see. So it is better to advertise with Google by running what we call a Google ad. You see, you ask Google to increase your visibility and you pay Google, and Google will rank you 1, 2, above the fold. So your visibility will be, you can choose to have do a campaign, probably choose a budget of, I know you're starting and ads are very expensive, but you must find, remember this is an investment that you're doing. You must find some money and then you do a Google ad, right? It is going to increase your visibility above any other. And then, because it gives you results there and then, Find an expert who can set you a very good campaign that is not wasteful. See? And then you can come up with a budget. Probably you can start with $200 a month, well optimized, or you can have $300 to $500. And this is going to get you your first customers. Right? Okay. I hope you've learned the 3 key steps on how you can quickly get your first customers as a tour operator or as a tourism industry player. But we want also to assist you. How do you make that one first customers, bring you more 5 customers, in tourism? Of course, you must provide extremely quality service. Avoid taking customers for granted. See? Someone gives you his or her money, make sure you do the best, right? But of course, we've got platforms like TripAdvisor, Google Reviews. At the end of the trip, ensure that clients are extremely happy and you've done your best, because we want to make these our ambassadors. Now, if one client gives you 5 and you had 4 clients, those are 20. You can imagine. And we are going to have 20 customers coming, but geared by the previous customers that you had, 4 of them, you see. And I can imagine if 20 comes through you and you perfectly execute a very memorable experience, 20 times 5, see how you're growing. It becomes 100. Because one business that I know that survives on the word of mouth is tour operation, right? So TripAdvisor review, of course, these clients will write something, highly recommended, the perfect safari agency in the country or in the land, whatever. They know how to do their writings. And that is going to, let them have it on TripAdvisor, you have it on your Google reviews. It will extremely attract more customers. So if you can look at all that, you cannot fail to find market, because market is readily available. Right now, so many tourists are traveling and they are online trying to find who is that reliable tour operator to come to do a safari or probably do a trip with them. So keep those 3 key strategies. But even on getting that first customer or the first customers, make sure your services are extremely super. And when you're probably saying bye-bye to these guests, remind them of giving you a TripAdvisor review, a Google review, whatever, and trust me, talk to them and ask them for relatives, friends that can come through them. And of course, these things will be unlocked. So I hope today you've learned and you will enjoy the new math, with this new video that probably, will be able to guide you through. So don't leave the industry, don't leave the business to us. Learn something and be committed so that you can be able to fix things well. We are here to probably give you more tips and advice. Whenever you feel you need to talk to us, feel free to call us, or send us an email, and we'll be able to guide you on every key steps from starting processes, running, managing, and growing the tourism business. Do not forget, of course, to follow us on our social handles. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, and of course to subscribe to our YouTube channel for these and more learning tutorials. Otherwise, I remain Idris Kamoga, and thank you. Bye-bye.